G'day, I'm Dan Raff. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Tokyo for round 6 of season 1 of the 2021 Manufacturer Series. In pole position, Akamura for Peugeot. In P2, BrightScript also for Peugeot. In P3, Minazuki for Honda. In P4, Chibasuke for Citroen. In P5, Tendo Jones for Jaguar. In P6, Pun for Audi. In P7, Inassen for Peugeot. In P8, Colonel Otone for Subaru. In P9, Tabo for Toyota. In P10, Gravedigger for Ford. In P11, Full Mind for BMW. In P12, Piece of Cake for Dodge. In P13, Soz for Subaru. And you find me in P14. So let's take a look at my qualifying lap. So my fastest lap in qualifying was the second flying lap. My fastest time in free practice was about, I think, a 2:06. Doesn't really matter for this race at all. And speaking of this race, we are on the Tokyo Expressway South Inner Loop for 15 laps. And yeah, what can I say about it? Tyre wear not an issue, fuel a massive issue. And this track is hot garbage. It really is. And it doesn't matter what configuration it's in, it's absolute trash. I do not enjoy racing here. I never have, and I never will. And the fuel setting for this race is utterly ridiculous. And being in a Subaru, there is no way I can fuel save enough to make it through this race on one stop. So this will be a 2-stop for me. It will be a 2-stop for many other drivers as well, because the stars really need to align for me to be able to fuel save enough to make it through on one stop, and they just don't. They fall into the void, in fact. So, yeah, in free practice, or rather in strategy practice in arcade mode, I tried fuel saving as much as possible, did the whole race with the fuel map on its leanest setting, short shifted every single time, stayed in higher gear to keep the revs low, and I still needed to stop twice. Now granted, I wasn't able to take advantage of slipstream because you really just can't when you're dealing with the AI, but even so, I just could not see a way I couldn't see a way that during the race I'd be able to fuel save enough to make it through on one stop. So instead, pretty early on in the race, I just give up on fuel saving entirely and drive flat out, because I end up losing less time in the pit stop than I do trying to fuel save. So provisionally in 11th, but down to 14th by the end of that. And in P15 on the grid, we have SWD Cure for Mercedes, Fighter Fontana in P16 for Volkswagen, Koha for Lexus in P17, and Tenensui also for Lexus in P18, and rounding out the grid in P19, Papa Jaeger in the Mazda. So as we get started here in Tokyo, my expectations for this race are low. Actually, very low. In fact, almost non-existent. I have 2 goals for this race, and 2 goals only. The first goal is not to finish stone dead last. The second goal is to finish the race before the timer runs out. That's it. But as we get started on lap 1, Soz is obviously trying to fuel save right from the get-go, and so I pass him up into P13. Sorry to break it to you, Soz, but I'm driving the same car as you, and fuel saving is not going to help you at all. Yeah, as we head up towards the docks. And as we make our way around the double apex at the docks, we already have a car spinning off. That's full mine, and it gets very hairy through there as SWD goes for a very, I suppose, a very rude dive bomb, to be honest. So we gain a position and lose a position all at the same time. As we head down the long straight in the middle of the track towards the hairpin where the pit entrance is through the tunnel. So yeah, I don't like this track. I don't like it at all. In previous iterations of Gran Turismo, there was a Tokyo street circuit called R246, and that was a great track. And I don't know why that's not in the game anymore. Instead, we have this, and I've looked on Google Maps, and these aren't even real expressways. This is not based on any real roads. There are sections of it which are sort of, I guess, in quotation marks, based on a true story, like the home straight where you're passing the railway line, but the rest of it is completely fictional, and it kind of shows. No city planner in his right mind would design a road like this. So up ahead, Tarbo has had a scrape with the wall, and that slows him down enough that we get a pass to start lap 2, still in P13, going up and down, basically swapping with P13, P12 and P14, but yeah, this is another race where every position is a false position right up until the end. So we'll flash forward to P13, lap 13, lap 3, my god. My brain is completely fried after this race, honestly. But yeah, we're on lap 3 and in P13. There are too many numbers in motorsport. Coming up to the docks, and I did get a bit of slipstream there, and get a better entry into the double apex and take P12 off Cure. And up ahead, Colonel Oton, Subaru teammate, has served a looked to be a 2-second penalty, so that slowed him down, but not enough for us to catch him. So we've got 3 Subarus in a row, and given the dynamics of this race, these positions is basically where you'd expect us to be. It doesn't really get much better than this for any of us. And I get a touch on the wall coming up to the hairpin. And Soz gets very intimately acquainted with the wall, and that throws me a little bit. But he does sort of manage, almost knocks me in. I don't think that was deliberate, but yeah. See what I mean about this track? This is the racing that you get here. It's not great. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of street circuits to begin with, but this one is just the worst. It's not even set up like a racetrack. They haven't even put up any like temporary grandstands or anything. There's nobody watching except maybe the people working in the office building, but yeah. I mean, I know that the people watching races in this game aren't real. I'm not completely delusional, but, it adds to the atmosphere, and this track just doesn't have any atmosphere. Get an accidental bump on Cure as we come through the double apex at the docks. On lap 4, I get an SR down for that, but Cure has a 1.5 second penalty up ahead, as looks like Soz also has a penalty, but we get the run on Cure going into the right-hander onto the long straight. Soz has a penalty. It's only half a second though, so we'll flash forward now to lap 5 around the same position, and Colonel Oton up ahead has a half a second penalty, and we're on the tail of Piece of Cake. We get past him up into P11 into the tunnel behind Colonel Oton, who looks to be fuel saving by his pace. Again, hate to break it to you, mate, it's not going to help you. Yeah, we'll just flash forward there to lap 6. Again, catching up to Colonel Oton, make a pass on the right hand side, coming up into the docks. And now up into P8 as drivers have started to pit already. So like I say, false positions all the way through this race. And up through the tunnel, flashing forward to the midway point, and my fuel has just absolutely evaporated out of the tank. So it's time for the first of 2 pit stops, and pretty much everybody at this end of the field pits at the same time. So we take on a full tank of fuel, and that puts us out in P14, our starting position in the race. And so as I come onto the main straight to start lap 7, we'll move into cockpit view, as this was my fastest lap of the race. And really, for me to have been able to do this on one stop, I would have had to have spent the entire race in slipstream. That would have been the only way to do it, as well as managing the fuel mapping and short shifting. I would have needed to remain in the slipstream for the entirety of the race, and that was never going to happen. That was just never going to happen. You know, it really requires drivers going into the race with a mindset of working together, and you know, right from the very beginning, that was patently clear that was not how the drivers in this lobby were approaching the race. So yep, every man for himself, and unfortunately that leaves not just Subaru, but you know, a few other manufacturers who aren't too great on fuel in you know, at a massive disadvantage. So yeah, I don't like this race. I really don't. I think it's unrealistic. It's really a great big pile of burning stupid. And so yeah, this race was pretty much one and done for me. I attempted it once, and that was enough. I didn't see the need to continue attempting it. I didn't see really how I could improve, because really everything was working against me. So yeah. So a 2:08.9, a completely irrelevant lap time. And we'll flash forward now to midway point of lap 8, as Cure gets the move done on the hairpin, and Piece of Cake comes out of the pits. Good thing ghosting is a thing. And this section of the track is really the only section where, you know, where my car is actually good, you know, because it's the only handling section of this track. There's as I, you know, misgear there, but yeah, the rest of the track is just really awful, boring, horrible. But yep, through the docks, try to make a move on Cure, but he gets a cutback, and we continue now in lap 9. Piece of cake in the Dodge behind me, Colonel Oton behind him, and Soz is up ahead of us. Now coming into the tunnel, I get a better run and take back P11 from Cure. And we sort of battle back and forth for this position, and it's basically because there are, you know, sections of the track where I can't match the Mercedes pace, and there are sections of this track where he can't match Subaru's handling, and you know, just, yeah. Not that the cars are that evenly matched. I mean, this is Group 4. It's unbalanced at the best of times, but this race seems to really exploit the it really seems to exploit that unbalance and accentuate it to a degree which I haven't seen before in an FIA race. We drop back to P12 behind Colonel Oton. And so, through the hairpin on lap 10, and we drop another spot to Tabo. And it's getting very crowded up there in the battle for, looks to be the battle for P8. So I've got Piece of Cake in my slipstream behind me on the home straight, and he does pass coming into T1, and there's no point in defending against the Dodge in that scenario, so I let him go, and he flashes his hazards to say thank you, and I pay him back by accidentally bumping him from behind going into the docks. Fair enough for that penalty. That was entirely my fault. I did flash my headlights at him to apologise. Yeah, there was no hard feelings. So, coming to the middle of that lap, and I go into the pits for my second stop at the end of, or the midway point through lap 11, and take on, I think it turned out to be about 80%. That's how much fuel I needed to finish the race, another 80% of my tank. You know, explain to me how I was supposed to save that much fuel over the course of this race, because if there's a trick I'm missing, or, you know, something fundamental that I haven't done, I don't know. But, yeah. So we're out of the pits in P17. And so we'll flash forward now to the final lap. That penalty didn't really change anything after I served it, so yeah. Currently in P15 at the start of the final lap, but I'm not the only one who had a terrible time with fuel, and there's a driver up ahead who did his best to fuel save through the race and did a much better job than I could have done. But it's still not enough for him. And so as we pass the pits, you'll see that he goes in, and you know, the race is already at this point finished. We have Brightscript winning in front of Minazuki, and the timer starts to count. And do I have enough time to make it to the end of the lap before that runs out? Because so far I've managed one goal, which is not to finish stone dead last. But now the race is on, quite literally, to meet my other goal for this race. And as you can see, Yanassin in the pits with 0 fuel, so he just didn't have enough to make it through to the end. So that puts us back up into 14, which was our starting position. So, you know, all things considered, a much better result than I was expecting, to be honest. And so with 10 seconds left, I see the finish line and the checkered flag in sight, and we make it across the line with 5 seconds to spare. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, there's something seriously wrong with you, but leave a like anyway, it really helps me out, and comment below to let me know how you did in the race, or just to say hi. Next on the calendar, it's round 3 of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup. We are at Suzuka in Super Formula, so make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a moment of the action. I am Dan Raff, and I'll see you at the next race.